First one on the Land Development Regulation Amendment, and I want to make sure everybody understands the rules a little bit. It's divided into two segments, so those people that want to speak in favor of it have an opportunity to speak, and those people who want to speak opposed to it have an opportunity to speak. And there's a total of 10 minutes for those in favor and 10 minutes for those opposed, up to 10 minutes. Each speaker has 3 minutes. So if you can make your point succinctly and quickly, then, excuse me, I said 10 minutes, meant 3 minutes. 30 minutes. 30 and 30, I'm sorry. I get it right eventually. 3 minutes each for the speakers. 30 minutes for, 30 minutes against. So Mr. Dill is going to conduct this public hearing, and we'll call on him right now.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance to approve the Greenville County Land Development Regulations for the County of Greenville, South Carolina, providing for the administration, enforcement, and amendment thereof in accordance with the provisions of the South Carolina Planning and Enabling Act of 1994, South Carolina Code, and Title 6, Chapter 29. Has anybody signed up to speak in favor?
Yes, sir. We have one citizen to sign up in favor.
Okay,
His
please
name
come forward.
is Alvin Kennedy.
Okay, Alan.
I'm Alvin Kennedy with 134 Shannon Lake Circle, Greenville, South Carolina, 29615. I'm speaking in favor of the Land Development Regulation update in that it brings it more in line with other documents that control development and land usage within this county. So I've been spending some time looking at it, and actually a couple of months now, and I really support the efforts of the council, the staff, everybody who's worked on this, has done a tremendous job. I do have a couple, and I want to call them constructive criticism comments. There's a couple of things in the section 9, which is the new section that adds traffic impact study requirements for our development. Councilman, you've gotten my comments in your package from 2 weeks ago at the second reading. But I just wanted to put on the public record, there's some divisions in the paragraph 9.1, the intent. It addresses the existing traffic on county maintained roads. It doesn't, it addresses the state requirements based on the SCDOT arms manual. What I don't see is a homogenization between the county and the state to where we say the state or the county planning and development actually has an interest in or an obligation to review any traffic impact studies issued or created for development on state highways, such as Woodruff Road, Haywood Road, Pelham Road. There's some issues there that I think we probably should look at. And there's another one where we mitigated alternatives. Once again, it addresses the county roads. It doesn't say anything about the state roads. So does the county have any vested interest in any development, the traffic impact studies that are done on state roads? So those are questions that intended to be more of a constructive criticism on it. And other than that, I support the land development regulations pretty much in the package, but I think it goes a long ways towards making it easier for the citizens to review and developers to use in order to properly develop the county so that we don't have additional interests like we do on Woodruff Road now. Had we had some of these abilities to develop land in a comprehensive manner 20 years ago, and had we applied them to the Woodruff Road corridor, we might not have some of the issues out of Woodruff that we have now, including Woodruff East all the way out to the Vaughn Highway or Vaughn Road, Highway 417. The subdivisions out there are getting horrendous. And we didn't have this. Now we have it. And I think, is that my 3 minutes? Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience that would want to speak in favor, if you would, come over. Give us your name and address for the record.
Evening Council, Michael Day, 5 Creekside Park Court, Greenville, South Carolina, 29615. I'm one of, I guess, a couple of dozen folks who actually worked on this beast, and it is a beast. It's fairly large. We actually started working on this in 2012, so I think you can imagine it was a fairly laborious task. We spent the better part of 3.5 years looking at each element of this document. So there's a couple of points that I wanted to make. The people who worked on it are all citizens of this community and want just what's in the best interest of the community. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion, a lot of negotiation, and this is clearly a compromise. I think if you asked any one of us if what's in here is what we would have drafted up if we were left alone to do it, we would say no. But as a group, we agreed that this was the best solution for the entire community. And then secondly, I would say to you that this in no way addresses whether a land use should go in one place or another. It is not a zoning document. It is simply the way that a development will occur once the decision as to whether a development is approved or not approved is made. So it is the process by which the development occurs. It is the rules for conducting development. It is not the document that dictates whether a development should occur or not occur. Thank you.
Okay, next week.
Good evening. My name is Jamie McCutcheon. Address is 1 Ruby I-4 at Greer, South Carolina. I'm also president of CCAD Engineering, and I'm not here to speak to this today. Yes, I'll be much shorter. I'm also one of the stakeholder committee members that's spent the better part of 3 to 4 years now working on this document. And simply will say it definitely is a compromise. I feel like the result that we've gotten out of this is something that works well for protecting the community, furthering the interest of the community, and also giving some control over the development that I know the community is looking for. And I would just ask you to approve it as it was brought forth to you by the community. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would want to speak in favor? Seeing none, then we'll ask for those that are signed up to speak against.
Our first citizen is Thomas Stitt.
Can you give us several names if there's more than 4?
Yes, Barbara Markson, Janet Moore, Harlan Wilson, Olivia Markson.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Tom Stitt. My wife and I own property in Duncan Bridge Road, 340. It's considered Pelson. It's in southern Greenville County. We have 33 acres out there, and I'm here tonight to talk about my concerns when it comes to our involvement and inclusion. I know that each of our elected county officials, representatives, I urge you not to approve the revised land development regulations as proposed, pending more input from our Greenville County citizens who are ultimately affected by these regulations. It's unfair that the citizens of Greenville County are given 3 minutes, 30 minutes total, to voice our concerns surrounding these revised LDRs, when the entire county council, the standing members of the county council planning and development committee, and the appointed members of the planning commission have had months and, from what I understand, years to propose, revise, and review without our public input, prior to and including the last 2 readings and the final reading tonight. We understand that the intent of the LDRs is for the good of the public, and we're not questioning the integrity of anyone on county council or the planning commission. We are asking for inclusion in the process that will give us a better quality of life overall. Some of us in the lower density agricultural areas are being asked to make sacrifices in the name of economic growth. In District 26, we have already experienced the negative impact of waste management on our community from the Twin Chimneys landfill. Now we hear from proposed community meetings that there's a proposed re-wall wastewater treatment facility to handle high-density subdivision growth. This will also bring about environmental, traffic, public safety, and school overcrowding issues that follow. We want a voice in managing the high-density growth of Greenville County. We believe that the land development is a community effort which involves both landowners and land developers. We have some very qualified citizens in our communities who can help provide that input. 1 week ago today, American voters made it clear that their opinions were not to be overlooked.
Right on.
Please vote no for the passing of the revised LDRs. I'm not saying forever, just until we have the citizens that are most affected by these LDRs that input and clear on the direction of the managed growth plan. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Barbara Markson. Good evening, councilors. My name is Faith Markson. I live at 332D Hillside Church Road, Fountain Inn.
Excuse me, Ms. Martin, could you speak a little closer to the microphone?
To the microphone. Yes, sir. My councilman. All right. In a resolution signed by Butch Curtin, the county council declared that the comprehensive plan is a roadmap to the future for Greenville County growth. However, when the planning commission evaluates a subdivision, it ignores the roadmap. Over the course of the last year, it appears the planning commission has placed less and less value on the comprehensive plan, and planning staff recently stated at a hearing it cannot be used as a basis for denial or approval. Basically, you must ignore the comprehensive plan that the county spent millions of dollars on with public input to determine what the best and highest land use recommendations for Greenville County will be. Many other counties recognize the value of the comprehensive plan in their land development regulations and make clear that it should be considered by their planning departments. For example, in Charleston, the county's elected and appointed officials should use the plan to evaluate future proposals or policy changes to ensure consistent decisions are made. Furthermore, the plan should provide guidance to landowners and developers on what is appropriate in the county. From Ori, the Planning Commission shall not approve the development of land if the land intended for building sites cannot be used safely or menaces the health, safety, or public welfare. Such decisions will be based on the comprehensive plan, related reports, and investigations. The public should be able to have confidence that when the guidelines published by county council will be considered at planning commission meetings and not have to trek downtown in the middle of the workday to make their voice known at a planning commission meeting. The proposed amended LDRs mention the comprehensive plan scantly, but they do mention it in 3.3.4, which says the subdivision administrator also has the option to take a minor subdivision to the planning commission in order to determine whether or not the proposed subdivision is consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. A minor subdivision is 6 or fewer lots that does not involve a new road. If the comprehensive plan may be a consideration for a small-size subdivision, surely it should be a mandatory consideration for a major subdivision. Improved land development regulations should ensure that the comprehensive plan is truly a guiding document, as other counties have, by stating explicitly that the comprehensive plan shall be considered in decision-making for growth. When deviations from the imagined Greenville general guidelines are granted, a reasoned and explicit explanation should be required. I would ask County Council to send these regulations back to the drafters for clarification of the role of the comprehensive plan in planning commission decisions.
Next speaker.
James Moore.
Hello, my name is James Moore, 359 Hillside Church Road, Fountain Inn, South Carolina.
Thank you for the opportunity to address proposed land development regulations, specifically the new Article 9 as pertains to infrastructure growth. It's clear that this article has developer fingerprints all over it. The article is watered down from articles from other counties with words like may and should. Other counties use words like shall and require to limit the discretion of the developers. I want to bring your attention to pages 3 and 4 of the attachment that was sent to you via email around Article 9. Article 9 requires subdivisions of more than 90 homes to have a traffic study performed after preliminary approval. This encourages developers to limit their subdivisions to 89 homes to avoid those traffic studies. Other growth counties recognize the risk of existing traffic growth and require traffic studies on subdivisions as small as 10 homes. And that unsafe intersections are also correct. In the proposed Greenville County regulations, no matter what the subdivision size, unsafe road and intersection configuration is not addressed. The county becomes responsible for unsafe conditions at the taxpayer's expense. When the traffic study shows a need to widen the road, and the developer cannot get the right of way, the developer can ask the county to use fee in lieu of provisions, so the county can use its eminent domain powers to get the land for road expansion, and the county pays for it. In other counties, if the traffic study requires adjacent road upgrades, the developer is responsible for the upgrades for the distances up to half a mile from the subdivision and built to South Carolina DOT standards. Other county traffic study information is submitted with the preliminary application. This is so the county and the public is aware of the extent of road upgrades and the risk the county may have to use eminent domain to perform all the work. In today's Greenville News, it was stated that the staff was providing public input to these regulations. Let me point out one of the quotes from the staff in one of the workshops of the Planning Commission. It is not reasonable to require full right-of-way plans at the preliminary approval stage. That's hardly public input. A community group has had a traffic study performed for roads around a subdivision. It only took 3 weeks to get the information, and all right-of-way information was available. I repeat, other counties in South Carolina require road study on subdivisions as small as 10 homes and require these before preliminary approval. Why can't we? This is not an unreasonable request. I request you send these regulations back to the Planning or Transportation Department to receive public input such that the infrastructure of the county can grow and the population with the population and the burden placed on the developer, not on the taxpayer. Thank you.
See you next week.
Hi, my name is Karen Wilson. I've been a resident of Greenville County for 45 years, the past 30 of which has been as a farmer in southern Greenville County, 35-acre working farm. As many others present tonight, are concerned with the current and future disappearance of rural areas throughout the county. If the county continues to encourage high-density development in areas that are in conflict with current land use and the lack of infrastructure to support it, we, as tax-paying residents, have had to endure the negative consequences with little to no say in the matter. Thank you for the chance to be heard tonight as we voice our concerns in regards to the current LDRs as they're being considered. As a previous pesticide regulatory specialist for the state of South Carolina, my job entailed investigating numerous environmental complaints and issues, from typical lawn and garden, pesticides to agricultural, commercial, and industrial problems with contamination due to misuse, runoff, lack of containment, etc. The results, health issues, some life-threatening for the public, livestock, and surrounding waterways. I work side by side with DHEC and EPA in 11 counties in the state, thus I'm very aware of regulations that are meant to protect us. However, rules and guidelines are just that. Mistakes, accidents, and oversight by the county in addressing these issues occur. Other counties, such as Horry, Charleston, and Richland especially, have extensive and specific regulations pertaining to environmental issues in the entire approval process, not after the fact. Please follow their suggestions on that. If you will, refer to Articles 3 and 17 of the LDRs. Developers must meet your current requirements as they relate to storm water runoff contained on the property, etc. If they do so, the county approves. However, the current LDRs do not adequately address the environmental issues of runoff that occur downstream of the development, which causes problems in rural areas. Nor do they address septic tank failure, both of which carry biological and chemical contaminants into surrounding soils, seepage into the water tables, wells, and waterways beyond the development. As written, the LDRs do not address the problem that occur in rural areas where homeowners rely on private wells for their water. Contamination of wells, streams, and ponds are a major concern in rural areas where sewer and or public water simply do not exist. The Clean Water Act grants an extensive study of septic tank failure was done in Oconee County, finding a 10 to 20% failure of the systems, yet they met DHEC requirements. High-density development means greater use of lawn and garden chemicals, thus increasing environmental contamination. The surrounding area in which these subdivisions are approved should be considered. The development may have public water, yet they rely on septic tanks. What about those in the surrounding area who rely on wells or raise livestock with streams and ponds nearby? As you review these LDR regulations, please consider the concerns and input of the public. We suffer the consequences. Send these back to the appropriate committees for reconsideration of environmental impact, which is not adequately addressed.